Donald Trump's farewell address. Now, just a few hours to go before Joe Biden takes over as the 46th president of the United States. And quite begrudgingly, the US president, that is the outgoing president Donald Trump, gave a farewell address finally, but refused to address Joe Biden by name. Trump instead used the words incoming administration to wish Biden good luck. Listen in.
Now, as I prepare to hand power over to a new administration at noon on Wednesday, I want you to know that the movement we started is only just beginning. There's never been anything like it. The belief that a nation must serve its citizens will not dwindle, but instead only grow stronger by the day. As long as the American people hold in their hearts deep and devoted love of country, then there is nothing that this nation cannot achieve. Our communities will flourish. Our people will be prosperous. Our traditions will be cherished, our faith will be strong, and our future will be brighter than ever before. I go from this majestic place with a loyal and joyful heart, an optimistic spirit, and a supreme confidence that for our country and for our children, the best is yet to come. Thank you and farewell. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
In his final hours in the White House, Donald Trump touted his administration's accomplishments. His main focus was on the federal vaccine program and his handling of the pandemic.
Our nation was hit with the terrible pandemic. We produced not one, but two vaccines with record-breaking speed, and more will quickly follow. They said it couldn't be done, but we did it. They called it a medical miracle, and that's what they're calling it right now, a medical miracle. For years, the American people pleaded with Washington to finally secure the nation's borders. I am pleased to say we answered that plea and achieved the most secure border in U.S. history. The world respects us again. Please don't lose that respect.
Now, even as America inches closer to Biden's inauguration, Donald Trump is yet to publicly concede to Biden. The U.S. president spent the weeks after the election blaming his loss on widespread voter fraud without any evidence. Trump's efforts to overturn the will of the voters peaked on the 6th of January when a violent mob of his most staunch and heavily armed supporters overran Capitol Hill as Congress met to certify Biden's victory. The violence left 5 people dead and the world horrified. Trump condemned the Capitol Hill violence in his final address and said that this is the time when Americans need to unite more than ever.
All Americans were horrified by the assault on our Capitol. Political violence is an attack on everything we cherish as Americans. It can never be tolerated. Now more than ever, we must unify around our shared values and rise above the partisan rancor and forge our common destiny.
Our correspondent Jagrati Dave is still with us from Washington, D.C. Jagrati, let's talk about Donald Trump's farewell address. He was finally wishing the next administration good luck, but without taking Joe Biden's name. He also suggested a new political movement and spoke about making America great again. Was this a hint to his future political ambitions?
You possibly could interpret it that way. That is indeed one of the reasons why many Democrats are so keen to hold a Senate trial following President Trump's historic second impeachment, because if he is convicted in a Senate trial, they could then hold a further vote, which again, if it's voted for, it could bar President Trump from holding office again. You know, this is also those comments in that video about this is just the beginning of this political movement is also possibly an indication of the fact that, you know, whilst President Trump may no longer be in office, his influence is still incredibly prevalent in the Republican Party and in the country. Just, you know, remembering the huge number of Americans who voted for Donald Trump in the election, the strength of the fervor of his base, and it's left many Republicans and the party as a whole really having to do some deep soul searching as to, you know, what kind of Republican Party they are and whether they really will be whether once President Trump leaves office, whether the party will be free of Trump, or actually whether the party should continue to mould itself in the president's image if they want to retain control of the president's core base of supporters.
Right, Jagrati, my final question before we wrap up our discussion. Now, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's somber tone is a stark contrast to that of the previous Trump administration. So what are the Americans' key expectations from their new president?
I think from what they have said, we can most Americans can probably expect a definite change in tone, at least from the new administration. One which is reaching out back to America's traditional allies, rejoining multilateral groups, reaffirming those traditional allies with European countries, with big multinational group organizations like the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, commitments to NATO, those sorts of building blocks which have been the building blocks of America abroad for so long.
Right.
I think there's also something to be noted for the fact that we can probably expect, in terms of, say, for example, America's relationship with China in certain foreign policy areas, and we've been hearing from Antony Blinken about this, a certain amount of continuity from the Trump era as well, that tough approach to China, although the actual details of that approach might be different. The tough tenor, the note, that tone that we've been talking about might still be the same. So I think, you know, at the moment it's in a process of transition, that process of change. I think what Americans are looking to see is, the majority of Americans are looking to see is that transition of power, how it will go ahead, and you know, people will be watching to see what the first steps are of that next administration.
Absolutely. Jagrati, thank you so much for all your inputs, and thank you for joining us on this broadcast. We, of course, will be tracking all the live updates of the inaugural ceremony once it gets underway. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.